They didn't do that back when I was there. They wouldn't give it to you now.
And you do. We're supposed to do this. And everybody's supposed to stand up. And we're supposed to jump up and down. Almost like we're believing that we are born a champion. Turn to your neighbor and say, I'm born a champion. Born a champion. Woohoo! All right. Give yourself a round of applause. That was good. That was great. All right. I'm energized. I'm ready. Are you ready? Yes. Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you for being here. We're going to have some fun tonight. It's also going to be productive because we're going to learn about what? What's everybody here to learn? Cancer prevention. Looks like that's next month. That's October. What month are we in right now? September. So tonight we have heart health. And David, we got a seat for you up here. I'm going to have you come straight on up. And then, many of us have these dialogues and conversations all year long. Your doctor goes over your blood tests with you. You're worried about what they want to recommend. You don't want to take another prescription. And you want to know what to do instead. It's important that you understand how this whole thing works. And just like, you want to be careful with just taking your doctor's word at face value without doing your homework, I don't want you to take my word at face value either. We need to look at the evidence, and the more you understand, the more confident that you can be about the decisions that you make. Does that make sense? And that's our goal tonight, so that you understand. So that when the time comes, not if the time comes, right? When the time comes, you will have the confidence to have an intelligent discussion with your physician and hopefully make a decision that will improve the quality of your life and not end it early. Hopefully that's not sounding too rough around the edges, but that is a fact. So the first thing we're going to do is unpack some of these myths. Everybody's concerned about cholesterol because you've been told that it can cause what? Heart attacks, right? Heart disease. And in the past 30 years, there have been 44 different studies done with diet lowering cholesterol and drugs lowering cholesterol. And guess what it showed? Nothing has shown any sort of cardiovascular benefit in terms of living longer by lowering your cholesterol. And that's what we're going to dive into tonight. High cholesterol in and of itself is not a significant risk for heart disease. Lowering your cholesterol to very low levels does not reduce your risk of heart disease, heart attack. And lowering your cholesterol actually increases your risk of developing numerous other health problems. So, let's try to make our way through all this. Is cholesterol bad? Is there such a thing as good cholesterol and bad cholesterol? Well, that's what we've been told, but the reality is that there's no such thing as bad cholesterol. It is what it is. One is called HDL, which is high-density lipoprotein. The other is called LDL, which is low-density lipoprotein. The LDL is the one that we typically have on our radar because bad things can happen to LDL, but not because it's bad in and of itself. It's our lifestyle that does things to it that makes it bad. Are you with me so far? Say yes? Yes. So there's nothing really bad about the LDL. The cholesterol, as a matter of fact, has important functions. One of those functions occurs where? In your brain, for the neurons. The LDL is a shuttle mechanism which takes the cholesterol from the bloodstream to the brain so the neurons can fire and you can actually think and reason and have capabilities in your brain, which allows you to get on with normal life. Also, cholesterol is what actually helps the cells, the membranes, actually function. Every cell membrane needs cholesterol to function normally. And so when you start to try to remove that or change that picture, which God created perfectly, right? The Bible says we're fearfully and wonderfully created in his image, that means that God put the cholesterol in our bodies for a pretty good reason. Now, we may not understand that, or sometimes doctors think they can do a better job than God did designing us or improve upon it. But again, the idea is to really think through this. So, if cholesterol serves a critical purpose in terms of our normal brain function, if you take the cholesterol out, does that help your brain function or possibly hurt it? Very good. So, a couple of studies, we've seen that with total cholesterol and cognitive performance. The Framingham Heart Study has gone on for more than 3 generations. Decades they've been doing this study, hundreds of thousands of people, and they've done cognitive tests performing this on patients every 4 to 6 years, evaluating their memory, learning, concentration, attention, abstract reasoning, and organizational disorders, or their abilities, which is all compromised with people who have Alzheimer's and brain disease. So this is what they look for to see how well their brains are working. The people who had the highest cholesterol levels, guess what? They scored higher on cognitive tests than the people who had the lower cholesterol levels. Did you get that? Okay, so years ago they found that there was a correlation that people who had high blood cholesterol levels actually had better brain function. Did you know that? No, they don't want you to know that. Because then nobody would take cholesterol medications. It's not a very profitable proposition. This study, if you go on the internet, you can find this now in PubMed. This one right here, even though it's actually this was published October 9th of last year. Higher total cholesterol concentration may be associated with better cognitive performance among elderly females. So this is a recent study that just came out. How many of you have heard about this? Nobody. Right? That's why they want to sweep it under the rug. What would happen if everybody stopped taking their statin medications right now? There'd be a huge uproar in the medical community. But this is on the internet. It was just published, a medical study. The background talked about the brain containing the highest level of cholesterol in the body. Right? The majority of the cholesterol in your body is where? In the brain. That's the way it's supposed to be. And the total amount of serum cholesterol in the blood has a huge impact on brain aging and what? Cognitive performance. So the conclusion of the study pointed that in America, higher concentration of total cholesterol measured in late life may be a what? A protective factor for cognitive performance. Are you guys getting this? Is your cholesterol level important? Yes. You have to know how to read between the lines and how to read the gauges that's on your dashboard. And that's what my goal is for you tonight, to have a better handle on that. Parkinson's disease. Researchers similarly found in the Netherlands that higher blood levels of what? Total cholesterol are associated with a significant decrease in Parkinson's disease. The higher cholesterol levels lowers your risk of neurological disorders. People with the lowest LDL were at risk for Parkinson's disease by approximately 350%. Now, these two studies come from medical journals, Journal of Epidemiology, Journal of Movement Disorders, well-published scientific literature. Here's another one from the American Journal of Cardiology. Statin medications increase the risk of death. Taking cholesterol drugs, they found, was a correlation with this. They followed nearly 300 adults diagnosed with heart failure for an average of 3.7 years up to 11.5 years. Here's what they found. Those who were taking the statin drugs and had the what? Lowest LDL were found to have the highest rates of mortality. They had the highest death rates. Conversely, on the other hand, people with the higher levels of cholesterol had the what? Lowest risk of death. So what's the theme that you're seeing here? Low cholesterol? Not a good idea. High cholesterol? maybe I should start warming up to that idea. So, Doc, what can I take to lower my cholesterol? Do you got a supplement? Do you have a diet? What can I do I don't want to take the drugs that my doctor's prescribing me. What can I do naturally to get my cholesterol down? And what's the answer?
Don't.
Very good! Woohoo! Smart kid. Smart kid. How many of you guys were thinking the same thing? Some of you were thinking, what is it? What's the magic pill? Because I want it. I don't want to take the cholesterol drugs. I want to take a supplement that'll still take my cholesterol down. You missed the point. You missed the point. Don't. Why would you want to take your cholesterol down when every shred of research from every journal that I just showed you shows you that if you want to live longer, let your cholesterol stay where it's at. Does that make sense? Say yes?
Yes.
Okay. Low cholesterol, LDL, is associated with higher death from what? Infections, and higher deaths from cancer. Infections? Cancer? Gee, does that have something to do with your immune system? Yeah. 12,500 men and women were in that study. They found that the men with the lowest cholesterol levels were the most likely to get what? Cancer. Other research shows long-term statin use for women, more than 10 years, if you're using cholesterol-lowering medications, doubles your risk of breast cancer if you're a woman. Important things to consider, right or right? Yeah? Here's a few more reasons to avoid statin medications. It depletes your body of CoQ10. What's CoQ10? It's an important molecule in every single cell in your body that has something to do with energy. Say energy.
Energy.
Energy is important, and especially in your heart for good heart health. Unfortunately, statin medications strip the CoQ10 out of the heart muscles. Really, most muscles and most cells in your body. It also, statin medications inhibit the production of vitamin K2. How many of you guys take a vitamin D supplement with K2 in it? Yeah, it's a good idea. Why? Because what does vitamin D deficiency do? Increases your risk of heart disease. So you have to have a good vitamin D level, but what the K2 does is it helps the vitamin D get absorbed, and one of the major things that causes coronary artery disease is high calcification levels. What does vitamin K do? It helps to lower the calcification levels. It protects your arteries from what? Calcification. Guess what statin drugs do? It stops the production of it. Does that sound like a good idea? No, not a good idea. Diabetes, also, they show that statins triple your risk of type 2 diabetes if you take them for more than how long? 2 years. So I've given you lots of good reasons, and ultimately you have to make the decision. If it's you, a family member, a loved one, this is important because oftentimes we don't all get the information that we need to make an intelligent decision. So here are the key takeaways. Are you ready? We said that LDL cholesterol plays a crucial protective role in the brain, and what else? The immune system. Lowering your LDL cholesterol may be helpful or harmful? Harmful, yes. In people over 60, there's no association between LDL cholesterol and heart disease. Okay? And those with higher LDL actually live longer. Yeah. So again, how are you going to make application with this? The next time you get a blood test, the doctor's going to look at it and say, oh, there's your LDL. It's at 140. Right? There it is. It's at 139. And you're going to see in that index that they have there, you know what it shows? It shows it's out of range. Because that's the standard that they have, that they've made because they want everybody to fall into that so that they can prescribe the drugs.
Control.
Control, exactly. Well, I'm going to turn the microphone over here in a minute. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you. You're doing a great job. The latest research. So here you go. Okay, Philomene, I told you yesterday my LDL is right around where yours is, just about 139. Got nothing to worry about. Is on your medical report, it's going to say it's out of range. But here's what the latest research shows: the optimum level for LDL for longevity, right? Not for the drug companies. For longevity, for the general population is what? 139. So when you see your LDL is up there or your total cholesterol is too high and then they have to wave the red flags, you don't look at that. I'm going to show you what to look at. There's no consistent correlation between lowering your LDL cholesterol and a reduction in heart attacks. People with low total cholesterol have just as many heart attacks as those with high total cholesterol, and they've published that in the Journal of the American Medical Association. The best predictor of a risk of heart disease is looking at the ratio of the total cholesterol divided by the what? The HDL. So, as an example, if you, let's say your total cholesterol was 300, that would concern some of you. I know it would concern everybody's medical doctor. So they say your total cholesterol is 300. That's way too high. But let's say your HDL is really good. Let's say your HDL is 90 or 100. And if you divide that 300 by the 100, what is the number that you come up with? The ratio is 3, right? Now, if you look on the chart over here, where does 3 fall into? In the green. It's good. So that's what you need to look at, not your LDL and not your total cholesterol. This is the best predictor of your heart health. Are you with me so far? Now, if your HDL is low, then you may have a problem. All right? Let's say your LDL is 139, but your HDL is 50. Now, if you take the 300 and you divide it by 50, what kind of number do you get, Carlos? Numbers, man? 2. No? No, sorry. That was a trick question. What's 300 divided by 50? 6. Now you look at 6 on that, and where does it put you? High risk, right? So that's how you have to use these numbers. Is this making sense to everybody right now? It's the ratio. So this is the thing that we see mostly. Most people have a higher LDL, but also it's very, very common that people have a lower HDL. What would cause a low HDL? Not exercising enough, not having enough good fats, too much stress, poor sleeping habits. So, is it possible for you to increase your HDL and improve your total cholesterol ratio and lower your risk? Of course it is, yeah. You just have to focus on these things. You have to get enough exercise. You may have to start exercising more. You have to maybe get more sleep. Maybe start looking at the consumption of your omega-3s, your essential fatty acids. So there are a few things that you can actually adjust the dials to bring that up. Isn't that good to know? Yes. All right, so here's another thing to look at, besides your cholesterol ratio, your omega-3 index. How many of you guys have had an omega-3 index taken? Good. Just in case you didn't know this, the low omega-3 levels are associated with an increased risk of heart disease, Alzheimer's disease. It affects your brain and also your eyes. So there's an index here. The desirable range is supposed to be between 8 and 12%. Most people are at 4% or below. That's what we've seen when we do the finger prick blood test in our office. It gives us this report. Most people usually fall under 5%, hovering somewhere around 4%. If you're at 4% or below, you're in the highest risk zone for sudden cardiac death. And that's not good, is it? So it would be important to know exactly where you fall, because if you're not somewhere between 8 and 12%, then this is something that you really need to focus on to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row for your good heart health strategy. So your omega-3s, where do the omega-3s come from? Yeah, good fatty fish. What else?
Capsules?
Fish oil capsules. Very good, very good. What else? Olive oil, right? What else? Almonds, avocados, all the good healthy fats, right? So this is important. Now, that being said, you really don't know unless you get tested. So no matter how healthy that you think you are, remember, no matter how good you think that your diet is, the only way to know is to get tested. Now, we do this as a matter of fact for all of our maintenance patients. Most of you guys are maintenance patients. You've been patients here for years. On your annual retesting when we take all your tests, new updated film, scans, we always take this, the finger prick blood test, right? This is why we look for this. Because your medical doctor will not do this. This is not a standard typical type of blood test. So with a finger prick blood test, we get that, and then I sit down with you and I give you the report. And everybody in here takes fish oil capsules, right? And everybody here takes vitamin D, but you don't know if you're taking the right dosage to get the result that you're looking for. And nobody else is going to help you with that. That's why we do this, and that's why it's important, right? Make sense? So now, if you haven't had it yet and you're sitting here and you do want it, very simple. Just ask Deborah. We'll make an appointment and we'll do it for you. It's not anything special. We want to make sure everybody gets it done, but we just have it scheduled for everybody when their maintenance plans renew. That's all. What else do you need to look for on your blood test? C-reactive protein. Everybody say that. C-reactive protein. Very good. What does that mean? Well, on your blood test that your doctor does for you, if you have high C-reactive protein, that's usually evident with somebody who's had a myocardial infarction. When there's death to the heart cells, that's the marker that they look for to be elevated to diagnose somebody who's had a heart attack. Now, if they don't suspect that you've had a heart attack or you haven't, and you ask for this test, they're not going to do it for you. But it's one of the most significant factors and predictors of heart disease and heart attack, even greater than cholesterol, which was published in the New England Journal of Medicine. Did you know that? So this is why we look for this, because the C-reactive protein is the primary inflammatory marker. Everybody say inflammation. Inflammation. If you've got inflammation in your body, rampant inflammation, you have a higher risk of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease. So how important is that? So we want to get a look at this marker because it's a much stronger indication of an imminent heart disease or heart attack, much stronger than any measure of cholesterol. That's what was published in the medical journal. Get this, they found patients with low CRP, low inflammation levels, had fewer heart attacks no matter what their LDL cholesterol was. Did you get that? So it didn't matter if their LDL was through the roof. If they had a low CRP, guess what? They had the lowest risk of a heart attack. That's why this is significant. They had more heart attacks if their CRP was elevated, regardless of whatever their LDL cholesterol was. And again, that's why we do this. So when we get the finger prick blood test and we get the C-reactive protein, we also get it with the vitamin D. That's why it's done together. And again, this is why we do this annually with everybody, because it's very important, and we do look at it differently than the standard medical laboratory blood analysis, if you're fortunate enough to have it reviewed by your doctor with you. And again, some of them are given and some of them aren't. If you would like to have it done or you haven't had it done, again, you're welcome to ask Deborah. She'll make an appointment and do it for you. It's very simple, and then I'll sit down and go over the results with you, and I'll show you where you're at. If you have high C-reactive protein, it means there's rampant levels of what? Inflammation. And what can you do to reduce inflammation? Have more healthy fats. Fats are anti-inflammatory. Fish oils are anti-inflammatory. Extra virgin olive oil, anti-inflammatory. Did you know that? Avocados, all the good healthy fats help your body repair and regenerate new healthy cells and tissues. That's amazing, isn't it? The best pharmacy on the planet is inside of your body and what it does for all these great foods that God created. It's amazing. You just pop them in, get the right stuff in, and keep the wrong stuff out, and you're in good shape. Right, Joy? Woohoo! What is normal blood pressure? What is normal blood pressure? Is it 120 over 80? No. It's different for everybody, isn't it? Everybody is different. We're all different. The chemistry in our body is different. Not two people in this room are the same. Everybody's 100% different. And you have to look at this like everybody's got different things going on in their life. Everybody's a different age. The Mayo Clinic said that if you're an adult, healthy, 60 or older, your treatment goal should be less than what? 150 over 90. Now, if you look down here on this chart, 45 to 49, 50 to 54, 55 to 59, what you'll notice is as the age goes up, so does the systolic. Can everybody see that? The systolic goes up at a greater rate than the diastolic. So as you age, your systolic normally should go up because things are more rigid. The arteries, the veins, the soft tissue, things are just more rigid. And your heart has to work a little bit harder to push the blood and the nutrients out to the distal parts of the body. So the blood pressure has to be higher when you get older. So you have to understand how this works, and you also have to go by how you feel. Now, if you wake up in the morning and you feel like your head is going to explode, and you've got a headache for days on end, and you check your blood pressure and it's like 160 or 170 over 90, something's not right. And you may need to have medication to get it under control, and I say temporarily, because that's not correcting the cause of the problem. Usually, when we see that person's under a lot of stress. Gee, have you been exercising lately? No, I haven't been exercising. Have you been traveling? Yes. I've been fighting off a cold, a flu. I have this, I have that. They have all these things going on in their life, and the body is compensating, it's reacting, and that's why the blood pressure's up. And that's the cause of it. Do medications ever correct the cause? No. But if you're in a situation and you can't correct it with your lifestyle and you can't get it under control, sometimes, yeah, you have to have the medications, but if it's temporary. Now, I'm going to show you lots of situations that I've encountered where we start correcting the cause and it goes down so fast it'll make your head spin. And when the blood pressure goes down because you're correcting the cause and you're still on medications pushing it down lower, guess what happens? Woo-hoo! Trouble. Bad stuff. So that's why it's important that you understand your body and what it's trying to tell you. Other side effects from the medications: shortness of breath, confusion, memory problems, dizziness, decreased libido, impotence, headache, fatigue, insomnia. These are very common symptoms that people tell me about as a chief complaint when they come in if I'm having a consultation with them. And sometimes it takes a little bit of digging, and I'll find that this is what's causing it. It's not actually a real medical condition. It's a side effect from being treated for a medical condition. Is that making sense? So that's why I always will recommend that the goal be to get your body strong enough to have a goal of trying to reduce and ultimately get off the medications if that's physically possible for you as an individual. That'll always be our goal if it's possible. So here's another key factor with blood pressure and myocardial infarction: heart attack. You know what that is? It's called heart rate variability. Heart rate what? Variability. Well, gee, why does my heart rate need to be variable? The measurement of the variability of your heart rate is the space between the heartbeats. Everybody look at this over here. You see the top one where it shows the heart rate and it shows 1 second increments in between. That is what you call a low heart rate variability. There's no variability in the space recorded time between the heartbeats. There's no variability. And that means there's rigidity in the nervous system. That's not a healthy place to be, is it, Rosita? No. A much healthier place to be is where your body can adapt, and it can be more flexible and adapt to its environment on a moment's notice. That's a more healthy place to be with your nervous system and as a person, because when your body can adapt to stress and it can adapt to its environment and it can comprehend its environment, it is in a much healthier state. Does that make sense? So if you look at the one below, you see 0.93 seconds, 0.98, 1.2, 1.3. That is a higher, healthier heart rate variability. Well, gee, Doc, what the heck does all this mean anyway? Like, why is that important? Because what's controlling your heart rate? Your what? Your nervous system. Very good. Ding, 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 ding. Your nervous system is controlling your heart rate. It's controlling your heart rate when you sleep. It's controlling your heart rate right now. It's controlling your breathing. It's controlling your blood pressure. It's controlling your digestion. It's controlling everything automatically. Now, on the bottom of that chart, it doesn't say automatic. It says autonomic. Everybody say autonomic. Your autonomic nervous system is the automatic part of your nervous system that controls all these things and keeps your body flexible and adapting constantly to its environment. Your autonomic nervous system needs to comprehend itself. The brain needs to comprehend what's happening with the cells and organs in the body, and the body and all the cells need to comprehend what the brain is trying to do to help it stay in balance and healthy. And that's the way that you were created. When God breathed life into you as a living being, Bruce, immediately you took form. The intelligence that animates the living universe came into you as a sperm and an egg and took those cells and now started to direct the development of you as a fetus in your earthly mother's womb without directions, without a set of instructions, like from a model airplane like that we used to make. Remember, I used to make model airplanes. Anybody here make model airplanes or model ships, right? Came with a set of instructions. No. There's innate intelligence. There's an inborn wisdom. The same wisdom that animates the living universe is the same wisdom that gave you life. And it set up this nervous system to form first so it could make you, inform you before you're born and keep you working after. So what is coordinating all the functions in that autonomic nervous system? Intelligence. Life. Right, Matthew?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So if that's the automatic part of the nervous system, is the non-automatic part the one that controls the muscles?
Yes, very good. So everybody raise their hand. Everybody raise the hand. So that's the part that's what's called voluntary. There you go. So that's the voluntary part. When you activate it with under your own control with the muscle. So very good. That's a different part of the nervous system. What's that?
Upcoming doctor.
Upcoming doctor. He's on his way. Upcoming chiropractor. Yes, ma'am. So what I'm trying to say is this. It's not so much the nerves or your brain or your spinal cord. That's not what makes this so great and so smart. What makes it is the amazing intelligence that inhabits it and expresses through it, right? It's an inborn wisdom, which is a gift from God, which knows more about you, what you need, when you need it, how much of it you need, where to send it to, what adjustments to make, because it came from God. And it never left you, and it never leaked out. It's still there. How much of that do you want working at 100%? All of it. All of it. You don't want any interference to that system. So when there's interference to that system, guess what it affects, guys? Your heart rate variability. And what does that lead to? It leads to low heart rate variability, which is rigidity in your nervous system, which is the fight or flight, which causes fatigue, which causes illness, colds, flus, COVID, increases risk of cancer, heart attack, stroke. Are you with me so far? Low adaptability, decreased cognition. So when people are subluxated, when there's interference in the nervous system, when they're stressed out, that part of the nervous system is what's dominant. So if you look at the autonomic nervous system, you see all the yellow nerves that are branching forth from the spine. All those yellow nerves are that sympathetic part which drive the fight or flight. You see all the green nerves that come out there? There's some from the top, there's some from the bottom. That's the parasympathetic. That's the part that slows everything down. So what happens when you get a chiropractic adjustment? Which part do you think is affected? The fight or flight or the rest and digest? Rest and digest. So if most people walking the planet are in sympathetic overdrive, stressed out of their gourd, they don't know where their peace comes from, right? What do the chiropractic adjustments do? Bring that autonomic nervous system back to balance. And what does that do to your risk of heart attack? Decreases. What does it do that to your risk of high blood pressure? What does that do to your risk of sudden cardiac death? Decreases it. So what you're saying is that chiropractic can actually reduce your risk of heart disease? Yeah, the chiropractic adjustment. Because we're correcting subluxations of which bone, Bruce?
The atlas.
The atlas, that's right. How's your atlas?
Denise is better.
How's your atlas? Denise's is better, as you learned earlier. How's your atlas? So the top bone in the neck. If I'm checking your atlas and I'm asking you, what does the atlas do? It's because there's nothing more important to your health and to your future. If you want to stay out of doctor's offices, off medication, out of hospitals, what's the most important part of your spine? What? The atlas. So I'm always going to be checking in to make sure that you're getting the most out of the care that you signed up for. You see all those green arrows that go up and down? Messages from the brain have to go down through the spinal cord to the body. Messages have to come up through that atlas. It's a passageway. There's a big old hole that the spinal cord has to go through, and it has to line up with the hole in the bottom of your head. And when the spine is out of alignment, when you have an atlas subluxation, when that top bone is out, what does it do? It's like a kink in a garden hose. Now, the brain can't understand what the body needs, and the body's like, hey, help. And you leave it like that long enough, and what do you have? Sickness and disease and early death. Could be diabetes, could be any sickness and disease. So, we're talking about the atlas, and there are nerves that directly innervate the heart from there. And then in the chart, as you guys know, that's why we use this nerve chart. When we try to help our friends and family members say, hey, you should go see a chiropractor. Why? Well, you have headaches, nervousness, insomnia, head colds, high blood pressure, migraines, nervousness, forgetfulness, tiredness, dizziness. You should go get your neck checked. Why? Well, if you have a copy of this chart, you could show them when there's a problem in that part of the spine, you need to check this part of the neck. Right, Bill? Yeah. Asthma, cough, difficulty breathing, pain in the arms, hands, functional heart conditions. You mean if you have a problem in the upper part of the back, if you have subluxation there, if it's occluding a nerve as it branches off the spinal cord, that can actually cause heart conditions? That's what we're talking about, guys. Anytime you interfere with a nerve, that's the cause of sickness and disease. Is this making sense? So here's an interesting fellow that I took care of in the military. And he came in and he had headaches, he had high blood pressure, he had fatigue, he wasn't feeling good at all. One of his neighbors came out, David Brown. Do you remember David Brown? Didn't he refer you in, Bruce?
He referred Eric.
He referred Eric?
Yeah, and then Eric brought me in.
Eric brought you in. Okay, so my brother was just telling me about him. He's taking care of him, his mom, his kids. There's like 3 generations that my brother's adjusting there. And I just remembered that. That's why I brought it up. So this was one of the guys who came in. He was in the military, and he was really struggling. And one of his friends said, "Hey, you should go see a chiropractor." So he didn't hesitate. Came right in. I started taking care of him, just like that. Where do you think the cause of his problem was? Atlas. Yeah, Atlas. So, just let me just turn the volume up here. In 30 seconds, he pretty much wraps up what chiropractic did for his health.
So, please state your name and rank. So, James, you've had some great results here in the office. You've only been under care, 4 or 5 weeks or so. And so what were some of the issues that you came in with?
I came in with high blood pressure, constant headaches, lower back pain, and just felt blah.
So how are things coming along for you since you've been getting adjusted in the office?
I feel great. No more headaches. I'm off my blood pressure medicine, and my back is feeling really good.
Awesome.
I'm actually exercising.
That's good. So life is better.
Yes.
So that was it. Found the cause and corrected it. And I'm thankful for the person that referred him in, because that's it. That's all that it takes. People are out there, they're hurting, they're suffering, and they're looking for an answer. And it's just like, hey, maybe it's in this drug, or maybe it's in that supplement, or maybe it's your Atlas, right? The problem is that when an atlas goes out of alignment, you don't always feel that. Maybe you don't always, your neck doesn't always hurt. And you may or may not have the symptoms. But that being the case, if that is going on, when do you want to know about it? After you feel horrible and you lose your health and you're on medications, or before? Before. Right, of course. So the only way to know is to have an analysis done by somebody who's actually looking in that area. When I analyze the upper cervical spine, we take x-rays, I put lines on it to look at the position of the atlas, to make sure it's in alignment with the brain, the skull, that there's no pressure on the brainstem. And then, we always show you the x-rays and we explain it to you. And then the other thing that we look at is the scan. When we look at the thermal scan, it shows us higher heat signals or intensity. And those are the areas normally where there's subluxation. Because if there's pressure on the nerve and there's inflammation, or the bone's out of alignment and the joint is inflamed, guess what it causes? Heat. Yeah. So those are the two main things that we see that help us diagnose if a person is having problems, health problems. Is it coming from that? Or somebody who just wants a general screening to make sure that they stay healthy. How many of you guys go to a doctor regularly just to make sure you don't develop problems, right? How many of you guys know people who regularly go to a chiropractor to make sure they stay healthy and don't develop problems? Yeah, everybody's hand in this room should be good. I'm glad you're participating. Otherwise, you'd all be sleeping right now, right, Joey? Chris? Like every workshop, I always have to pick on somebody because... Okay, so I'm glad we're going through this right now. Yeah, so this is you, right? Are you learning something important tonight? You're learning about the nervous system. Does the nervous system control some parts of your health or all aspects of your health? And who should have a healthy nervous system? Who should be? Everybody. Think about it. Is every member of your family having their spine checked on a regular basis preventatively like they go to a dentist? No. Why not? Are you able to explain it? Are you able to help them? I think we should, if we care about them. Because has anything I said tonight been kind of over the top or based on any sort of false foundation? No. Everything that I've shared with you tonight is based on science and, evidence-based, and you can find any of this in a medical textbook. It's all medical fact, anatomical fact. There's not a person walking this planet that should not be under regular chiropractic care just to have checkups to make sure that they can prevent problems if they want to be at their healthiest. If your nervous system controls everything, and we know that it does, then the question is, do you know confidently for 100% that you're clear, that there's no interference right now? That's the only question that an individual needs to ask themselves. I don't know. That's why tomorrow at 2:30, I will be sitting in my chiropractor's office having my what? Atlas checked. Same way that I do with you guys. Because I don't know, because I can't feel it. It's that important to me, and so are you guys. So exercise and heart health. 150 to 300 minutes weekly. That's how much exercise you should be getting. Think about do the math on that. If you're walking 20 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day. If you're walking 30 minutes a day, that could be 3 times a week. If you're walking every day for 30 minutes or you're working out every day for 30 minutes, you shouldn't have any problem getting up to that time. But at a minimum of 150 minutes per week, this is what most doctors agree on today. Is this making sense? Say aye. Aye. Okay. So the thing that I need to impress upon you is that if you are fully engaged and willing to do what it takes to make sure that you age as gracefully as possible, then you have to understand that it's not just going to be walking and cycling and swimming. You have to start resistance training. Are you with me? Yes. You have to start resistance training. This is what all of the genetic research is showing us right now, that can prevent Alzheimer's, it can prevent degeneration, it can prevent heart disease, it can prevent cancer. It lowers your risk of everything. But you have to start with the resistance training. And if you haven't yet, I want to encourage you just to get started. Get yourself some heavy hands, even if it's 2 or 5 pounds. And just get started. If you go, listen, if you need my help, I'll help you, whatever you need. But if you go on YouTube, there's a million videos of people exercising, and you can look and see how to do different exercises. But if you want help, just ask me. I can give you easy things to get going. Right, Luther? I know you ask me all the time. All right, so what does it do for us? You know, interestingly enough, exercise has never been proven to reduce heart disease or reduce your risk of a heart attack or stroke directly tied to the benefits of your heart. You know what they find is that it lowers your stress level. And that is really the only scientific evidence showing that it can reduce your risk of heart disease. Isn't that amazing? Wow, I always thought that it would lower my blood pressure because it's making my heart stronger. It would increase my stroke volume because for every beat that muscle is stronger, it's going to kick out more blood. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily translate to longevity. You know, what they found is people who do Ironman and ultra marathoners and these people that run 60, 70 miles a day, you know what? They have more heart attacks than people with the worst cholesterol that you've ever seen on the planet. Their arteries calcify faster because of the stress on the heart. That's interesting, isn't it? So what it comes down to, really, is how are you managing your what? Your stress. Because here's what happens. People talk to me all the time, you know, it's, oh, they saved my friend's life. It was at the nick of time. He had 100% blockage of all of his arteries, 90% blockage of all of his arteries. They had to do a quadruple bypass. How many of you guys have heard that? Like, whoo, man, these things are all clogged up. We need a roto-rooter. Guess what? It hardly ever happens like that. Normally, in and of itself, arteries do not narrow because of the clogging. Now, everybody's got some kind of plaquing in their arteries. It just happens over time. It's because of the blood sugar, and it's because of inflammation. What's it because of? Blood sugar and inflammation. You're going to have cholesterol in your arteries. Your body makes cholesterol. But when you have high blood sugar, when you have high glucose levels, that's going to raise inflammation, and that's going to physically modify the cholesterol. And that's what's going to start to clog the arteries. And then you have something called fibrin in the blood, which increases clotting. And guess what happens when you have stress? It causes a piece of that clot to rupture. Yeah. That's what they find. A sudden rupture can often be initiated by psychological what? Stress. When do most people have heart attacks? In the morning, on Mondays, and the most common day out of 365 days in the year is what? What day? What holiday? Christmas. Stress. April 15th, tax day. That's a close second. Okay, so honestly, you know, I can't impress upon you enough how much stress is of a killer. Not just with heart disease. I've seen it destroy lives of people in my family with cancer. Stress will do us in. If you don't know how to handle your stress, it doesn't matter how many supplements you take, how much you exercise, how much you get adjusted. You're done. You're done. You need to understand how to handle stress, guys. And I'm gonna share with you the truth right now, because we all have work, we all have relationships. Stress is part of our lives. Reducing stress can have a huge impact on the prevention and management of heart disease, and really all disease. Raise your hand if you want the secret to reducing stress and managing stress and preventing disease. Right here, the cure for stress is what? Peace. Where is your source of peace found? Who is your source of peace found in? The truth is found in the Bible. The Word of God says in Isaiah 26, 3 and 4, it says, Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Trust ye in the Lord forever, for in the Lord Jehovah is everlasting strength. My hope comes from the Lord. That's somebody who doesn't have hope, they're going to have stress, and in a very short time, be in a pine box. And that's just the way it goes. Lack of hope is a surety to end somebody's health and life early. You have to have hope. And this is where we find our hope, guys. Everything else is made of twigs and sticks, and there's nothing. You don't have a foundation unless you have the truth. And this truth does not change. Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. And the what? The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Jesus Christ. Now that says peace of God. You can't have the peace of God until you have peace with God. So the question is, have you given your life and surrendered to the Lord Jesus? And until you do that, until a person does that, they'll never know that peace. And this is the key, and this is why God gave this to us. Disease is something that we incur upon ourselves because we're always looking outside instead of looking inside. Poor sleep and heart health, high blood pressure, coronary artery disease, heart failure, heart attack, stroke can all be caused by poor sleep habits. So what's the strategy for heart health here? Get how much sleep every night? 7 to 8 hours. Consistent schedule. So you got to go to bed the same time every night. You got to get up at the same time in the morning. Your body loves rhythm. So be on a regular schedule. Make your room super, super dark and cold. Should be close to 70 degrees. Put on extra blankets if you need to, but that room has to be cold. And this will help you get into the deeper levels of sleep. You need deep sleep and you need REM sleep, and you can't do that in a warm room. No TV or phones, like scrolling through social media. If you're laying in bed watching TV, that LED scrambles your brain, and it really interferes with and affects your ability to get a good night's sleep. No caffeine after 1 o'clock. No food 2 to 3 hours before bed. Your body needs to rest. It can't be resting if it's digesting. Exercise and sauna will also help you get deeper sleep. If you haven't found that yet, I for the last year I've been doing sauna sessions for 2 to 3 times a week, and I track my sleep on a fitness watch. And black and white, you will see the difference. It does. If you have access to a sauna, it's a good idea to plug this into your regimen. Also, Neuromag. What is Neuromag? Well, it's magnesium. How many of you heard that magnesium is good for your blood pressure, or it's good to help you sleep? Well, not all forms of magnesium are good to help you sleep. There's one particular form of magnesium, which is called magnesium threonate. Everybody say threonate. Threonate. Magnesium threonate is the only form that has the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier. And that's what helps to relax the brain waves and helps you fall asleep. So this is something that I'll take from time to time. Anytime somebody tells me they're having trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, I will recommend it. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. That may be something that could help you. Because again, ultimately, if it's something that's not controlled or addressed, it does affect your heart health. Right or right?
Right.
So what are 5 things that can add 10 or more years to your life expectancy? So says the American Heart Association. Ready? Managing stress. What else?
Good blood sugar.
Very good. Not smoking, controlling blood sugar. Good job. All right, controlling blood pressure. And what else? Exercise. Close. Any others? Going once. Diet is important. Going twice.
Sauna.
Controlling your weight. Maintaining a healthy weight. Okay? Because if you're not maintaining a healthy weight, it affects your blood pressure. Your blood sugar eventually goes up. You become diabetic, pre-diabetic. It affects your triglycerides, the fat in your blood. It affects your HDL, your good cholesterol. And if you're obese or overweight, this is going to be one of the 5 factors that we look for that tell us that you're on the wrong track. So if you can lose 10 pounds, you double your chances of normalizing your blood pressure. What? 10 pounds. Did you hear that, guys? What? You lose 10 pounds, you double your chances. If you lose 22 pounds, you reduce your risk of a heart attack by what? 75%. It improves total HDL cholesterol. You can lower your triglycerides. You can lower your A1C. You can reverse type 2 diabetes if you can lose the weight and also restore thyroid function. So all this is what we call metabolic risk factors, metabolic health or unhealth. So I want to show you, because when you lose the weight, you can do it yourself. You can just cut calories. And if you do that, sometimes it's not a bad thing, but the problem is it usually comes back because you're dumping muscle and you're dumping water, but you're not losing fat. There's a way to do it where you can target the fat and you can correct the metabolism. And I want to paint the picture here so you understand the difference, because sometimes there are people here that need help with this, and I want to make sure that you understand how to do this.
All right. Hello, my name is Tim Kennedy. In the first 40 days of this program, I lost 35 pounds, exactly where I wanted to be. I got off my blood pressure medicine, I got off my cholesterol medicine, and I got off my heartburn medicine. And I feel wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, so an example of following the program. What did he do? We gave him a manual and a journal to record what he's eating, what we show him to eat, how much to eat, what not to eat. There are fat-burning supplements. There are minerals that help your body stay hydrated. There are foods and supplements that help target your body to lose fat and raise the metabolism. And then there are weigh-ins. Like every time you come in, we're not just putting you on a scale, we're putting you on a body composition analysis, which shows us the amount of fat mass, the amount of muscle mass, the amount of water mass. And so when you are correcting the metabolism, you should see fat mass going down and water and muscle mass going up. If your metabolic age, when you get weighed in, if it shows you, let's say you're 50 years old, and it shows your metabolic age is 80, you know what that means? You're in trouble. It doesn't matter how much weight you lose, it's going to come roaring right back on, because the more calories you cut, the slower your metabolism is going to go, and you can lose the weight, but with a slower metabolism, it's always going to bounce right back up, and then some. So you got to see that metabolic age coming down as time goes on, and that's how you know you've corrected the cause of the weight gain. That's how you correct your blood sugar. That's how you correct your triglycerides. That's how you correct everything that puts your heart at risk. That's how you correct fatty liver disease. Does that make sense? And that's why it's so important to make sure that you have your finger on all these metrics as you go through this. Last one.
My name's Patrice Grimes. I've been on the program for the past 7 days. Started my low calorie last week, Monday, and so far I have lost 12 pounds. And my metabolic age went from 86 to 76. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next. Awesome.
So that was just in the first week. Things move fast when you're doing this program. So we give you a guarantee with it. For those of you who follow the program, you dot your I's, cross your T's, as I always say. You read the manual, you follow it to a T. We give you a guarantee. If you don't lose at least 15 pounds and you see all those metrics improving, we put you through a second program at our expense. There is an expense to it. But it just so happens we're doing a back-to-school sale now, which is 20% off of the whole 40-day program. So that's a few $100. For some of you, I've done the program before. You've maybe been thinking about doing it again. This may be the right time for you. If you've never done the program before, or you have and you just want to check in and see where you're at, you're welcome to do the body composition analysis. It's where we take your shoes and socks off. We have you stand on the scale, the biometric scale. We'll do the printout for you. We'll go over it. Normally it's $99. The event special is only $37. So again, I'm always going to bring this up as it relates to heart health or diabetes, because I know there's a couple of you in the room right now that you got to get a handle. You got to get a hold of some of these things. And this is really the only thing that's going to correct the cause of the issues. It's either that or more medications. And the longer these problems go on, the more permanent damage there is. And this is a very simple solution. And it's very effective. We put over 2,300 people through this program. It works. We reverse diabetes within days. People lose, fat, serious fat off of their visceral organs. So it's one of the most healthy things that you can do, and I would highly encourage it if you haven't looked into it yet. Ask Deborah tomorrow on the way out, and they can make the appointment for you. All right, so let's finish up. We got a few more slides here. Are you with me so far? Yeah. All right, I'm going to finish on time tonight. So you've ever heard of foods that are high in cholesterol, right? Foods that are high in cholesterol. Stay away from those foods, you've been told. So my question to you is that true? Do foods that are high in cholesterol actually cause high cholesterol in your blood or in your body? No. The answer is no. So what it has more to do with is inflammation and clotting, which is driven by what? Sugar, your blood sugar, and also hydrogenated fats. The bad fats and the things that raise your blood sugar are the two things that drive inflammation. Toxins also, but we're not going to get into that tonight. But if you look on everything on the left is what to stay away from, what not to do. Hydrogenated oils, rancid vegetable oils, trans fats, your donuts, your muffins, your margarine, your fries, all the stuff with those bad fats that taste so good turn solid at room temperature. Imagine that inside your arteries, solid at room temperature. Not a good thing, is it? So we want to stay away from that because that's highly inflammatory, increasing our risk of heart disease, right? And then you look below that, what do you see? All of the carbs, right? The pasta, a lot of the grains, the breads, potatoes also, which are not on there. And then you got the juices, highly processed, high fructose corn syrup in a lot of the juices, which directly target the liver like a heat-seeking missile. And then, what do you see right there? That Coke. Is that a regular Coke or is that a Diet Coke? What? I thought I'm safe by the diet sodas. No. Some studies show that it actually causes diabetes faster than the regular sugar. Told you so, right? You did. And all that inflammation leads to what? What does that artery look like? Closed shut. So if that's the cause of the problem, can we reverse that? Yes or yes? Yes. Yeah. How do we reverse that? We transition over to the right. Whether it's a Mediterranean style diet or a paleo style diet, what do you seek with that? In that picture is all the good oils, all the good fats. You got your proteins there. You see chicken, you see fish, and also you see what? Meat. Red meat. What do you mean isn't that saturated fat? Doesn't that affect my cholesterol? Doesn't that cause heart disease? Well, I don't think so, but don't take my word for it. I'm going to show you why. So all of those things are what's going to reduce inflammation. You see your Kerrygold, your grass-fed butter, and what do you see up there? Coconut oil. All of those good, healthy fats, saturated fats, which you were told no bueno. Right, Carlos? No bueno. What does no bueno mean? No good, not good. I'm telling you it is good. It is good, yes. So we got to make the shift, guys, right? Right. All right. Turn to your neighbor and say, make the shift.
Make the shift.
So lowering cholesterol with a low saturated fat diet, should I lower my cholesterol with Smart Balance or some of these healthy margarines? I remember my grandmother used to have 3 of those huge tubs in her refrigerator back in the 1970s. Remember they told us to do that? Oh my gosh. They rigged the scientific literature. They rigged it. I mean, I'm serious. I'm not kidding. I've read up on it, and there was a whole political scandal that went on, and that's the reason why we have so much heart disease and diabetes today. That food pyramid that we saw in elementary school. So 2 randomized studies actually reveal an increase in death rates and heart attacks in patients who significantly decreased their cholesterol. General Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, was one of those people. That's where it all started. They tried to, his doctors tried to reduce, he had a heart attack, so his doctors came in, took all the cholesterol out of his diet. And you know what happened? Within a few weeks, had a second heart attack. Yep. So this is in the history books, guys. Replacing saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat, not so smart. Studies of heart disease patients who were advised to reduce their saturated fat intake resulted in no reduction in death rates, heart attack, or stroke. So, we are always running for the hills, with our bacon, our eggs, and our steak. And I want you guys to understand how this works. There's no evidence to support that. Now, I will say, if you are going to have the meat, try to get grass-fed, because if it's not grass-fed, if it's grain-fed, there's going to be more of an inflammatory effect in your body, and that's not good for your heart. So it's not the meat, it's what is done to the meat that makes it unhealthy. Does that make sense? So you got your eggs, again, you want free range, no antibiotics, organic. The bacon, if it's cured, if there's all the preservatives and the nitrates in there, that's a no bueno. All right? But if you can find a more natural kind of bacon without all the junk in it, it'll be the better of the bad.
Turkey bacon?
Yeah, maybe. You just got to look at the label and see what you can tolerate. I don't recommend it, but again, I want you to have some freedom here, because the actual risk for heart disease was 19% lower in the group that consumed the highest amount of saturated fat in this study of 340,000 people that they followed from 5 to 23 years. So, we can have saturated fat, and we can have healthy hearts. So here's a couple of supplements that will help you also increase the blood flow. It increases blood flow particularly in the heart, this ultraplex cardio, through something called L-arginine. Does everybody know what L-arginine is? It's a precursor to something called nitric oxide. You've heard of people taking nitric oxide pills. What does it do is it contracts the smooth muscle inside the artery walls, and that pulls and dilates the blood vessel in the artery walls, and it increases blood flow in the body. So that's a good supplement for that. Definitely heart healthy. Another one is CoQ10, which we talked about, because the statin medications actually strip that out. So very important, especially if you or a loved one is taking statin medications, that you have this and a good quality that your body can absorb. EPA, what did we say is important about EPA for heart health? Helps your body repair and regenerate new healthy cells, right? Helps prevent heart disease, prevents arrhythmias, lowers blood pressure, promotes the growth of new blood vessels, lowers your triglycerides, prevents blood clots, counteracts inflammation. Bang for the buck, is this a pretty good one? Yes or yes? Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody should be taking an EPA capsule. If you've had your blood tested, the omega-3 index, you will know exactly how much you should or should not be taking. Then vitamin D. Everybody takes vitamin D, right? Everybody needs to be taking vitamin D. The question is, are you getting the appropriate amount? I've seen tons and tons and tons of people taking 5,000 international units, which is what this one would be, the Ultraplex Vitamin D. It's 5,000 international units, and everybody was taking it thinking that they were okay, and nothing could be further from the truth. The vitamin D was in a very low range. They weren't getting enough. They didn't have the K2 to help absorb the vitamin D, so had to increase that. And sometimes you have to take 10,000 international units. Sometimes you have to take a vitamin D with a K2. You just don't know until you're tested. You really don't know. But eventually, we do find that out for you. If you want to find out sooner than later, like I said, just ask Deborah, and we can get that done for you. But vitamin D is hugely, critically important for your heart health, right? It's also a critical marker of your immune system, blood sugar metabolism, prevents dementia, mental decline, and also bone and dental health, which we all know, right? So, you all have that in your supplement suite, the handout. The only time we give a discount for supplements is for those of you who come to the workshops. So I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, giving me the opportunity to share this with you and hopefully help you and help your family. And if you want to take advantage of this, again, tonight at the workshop, it's the only time that you'll be able to save 15%. Anything with a green and white label, any of the Ultraplexes, the shakes or anything up there that you need, we open that up for you tonight. So make sure you schedule for next month's cancer prevention workshop. Get your supplements. They're obviously limited supplies. If you need a weigh-in for your weight loss or the vitamin D, CRP, or omega-3 test, ask them. If you're a guest here and you would like a friends and family coupon to have your nervous system, your atlas checked, the scans, the x-rays included, ask them for one of these and we can do that. If you have a family member or a friend who's not here and you want to get one of these for them, please do so. On the way out, ask them. Thank you so much for being here tonight, guys. I love and appreciate you. God bless.